Good morning. This is Frank Goodwin with Mid-State Safety. And on this recording of this video, I want to take a few minutes to discuss COVID-19 and OSHA. Questions have been coming in like crazy to me about what do we do? We have a company. How do we protect our employees? Number one. How do we keep our business going? Number two. And how do we comply with the OSHA and the Virginia Department of Health rules? How do we do this? How do we make sure we're compliant? Well, we're trying to address some of those issues today in this recording. And I would like you to know that this is part one. This will go for 10 or 15 minutes. And then we have part two. In order to complete the training, you've got to do both. But I try not to make it so that you're going to be bored to death for a whole half hour, 40 minutes. So I put it in two portions. So let's continue on. What does OSHA say about COVID-19? Now, the thing to remember too is I've put my contact information up. If you have any questions following the recording, following you watching this, feel free to contact me at my email or my cell phone, or you can drop me something in the mail. Now, we have respiratory protection, we have face masks, we have cough etiquette. You know, that's when you have, into your nose in your elbow rather. We want to deal with visitor restrictions. How do you maintain a good, clean work atmosphere when you got people running in and out? We're going to address training and policies. And by the way, you have 30 days to get training on the COVID-19 and OSHA done. And this video should meet that. If you could have your people sign in, go through it, remember it, not just drink coffee and talk on your cell phone while this goes. And then we'll talk about hand sanitizers and what is good signage. What are you required to do for signage in your facility, and social distancing and temperature control? I'm not talking about control of the building temperature. I'm talking about the control of people temperature. Now, there are 5 things. 5. Number 1, wash your hands. Number 2, cough into your elbow. Number 3, keep your hands away from your face. If you got to rub your eyes, don't. You got to scratch your nose, don't. And stay more than 6 feet apart from other people as much as you possibly can. And then if you feel sick in the morning, stay home. Do not go to work until you're tested and cleared, or stay home for 14 days. And the goal of this is to stop the spread of COVID-19. Now, number 1, I think, is one of the most key things, the biggest things to help you out to avoid contamination is to maintain social distancing, contact distance. Stay 6 feet apart as often and as much as you can. You can do it at work. You can do it in a training class. You can do it in school. You can do it in the grocery store. Stay 6 feet apart. And if you're at work and you're in a real contaminated area, or you work in a medical facility where you've got folks who could be contaminated, who could be infected, you might want to wear an N95 mask. Remember this, if you're wearing an N95, you have to be fit tested, and you have to have a medical questionnaire to clear you, make sure you can wear that mask. And then you can wear a regular face mask, which we'll show you in a few minutes. And sometimes, actually, more than often, gloves are important. They can help you a whole lot. Then wash your hands frequently. The best way is soap and water. Now, remember, soap and water, hot water if you've got it, and wash for 20 minutes. 20 seconds. You wear your hands if you wash for 20 minutes. 20 seconds. Now, if you time yourself, you're going to find that your washing is 8 or 10 seconds. And, and the CDC has maintained 20 seconds as the minimum wash time for your hands after using a restroom, after before you go to meals, after you've done some kind of a task that's dirty or could be contaminated, a surface that's touched by a lot of people. And if you wear gloves, make sure you take them off correctly. Make sure you dispose of them correctly. And then avoid touching your eyes and your nose and your mouth. And, those are all open tissue that can be a problem and contaminate you, not the other people. And then this is a chart on washing your hands and the best way to do it. And then we have a chart here on social distancing. Don't touch your face, a face mask, and an N95 mask on the top right. Now, today, good questions, rather, to ask yourself. Today, have you had any of these symptoms, such as a cough you didn't have yesterday, a fever, shortness of breath, loss of taste or smell? Have you been around anyone in your family that has those symptoms? So anyone else that's been coughing and hacking and wheezing and blowing your nose and breathing hard, if you've been around them, you may want to take extra precautions. Have you been in close contact with anyone that has been diagnosed with coronavirus? Have you traveled outside the country to a known area or to someplace in this country, Myrtle Beach or Florida beaches, in the last 14 days? Have you done any of these things? If you have, you need to start being careful. You need to self-quarantine and get tested before you get in a crowd, before you get in a workplace, because you then contaminate everybody in the workplace. So you need to be careful. We had one company that had one person in weeks and weeks come down with the COVID. The man came down with it. He called in and said, I believe I have it. He got tested, he had it. That company, because of one person, had to close down for 5 days, get all sanitized, had to do contact tracing on somewhere 12 or 15 different individuals to assure they were tested and assure they didn't have COVID-19. Stop and think of the cost of that to a company. It's phenomenal when you add it all up. And the symptoms, there's a little chart you can print out and post. It's on COVID-19. But the bad part is people who are asymptomatic don't have any of those symptoms. And so this is a problem. You may be around someone who seems and acts and is determined to be perfectly healthy, and they may have it. And if you come down with it, you look back and you say, gee, I wasn't near anybody, but you might have been. So you need to get tested, and you need to stay away from the workplace. You stay away from crowds, stay away from the grocery store until you're tested. And then we have what I call it the 6-15-48 rule. If you can, maintain 6 feet of distance. If you are in a workplace and there are times when you have to come together, there are times when you have to get closer than that, then try to limit it to 15 minutes and wear a face mask. But try to limit that time to 15 minutes. And if you then have any kind of symptoms, you want to stay home for 48 hours, if that's the case. But 6-15-48. And then if you see anyone in the workplace exhibiting flu symptoms, speak with the supervisor. This is the snitch rule. I hate it. Everybody doesn't like to do this, but you tell your supervisor, Mary or Sam, man, they've been really coughing and wheezing on the job. Maybe we ought to get them tested. And because sometimes people don't realize it. Sometimes they don't pay attention to what they're doing themselves. So if possible, isolate or confine them in a designated area until they can be tested. If you suspect or confirm that you have COVID-19, stay home. Stay home, get tested. And then again, practice social distancing. This is a little chart that you can use. Now, how do you make your facility safe? There's no set rule. There's no guaranteed safe procedure. Right? There's nothing. You can't totally guarantee it, but you can work towards that and make the odds a lot better. Number one, do the training. Show all your people this video. Put up the signage. Make sure everybody knows that COVID-19 has separate things to do. And you can put up signs in English, put them up in other languages, and then we'll provide a poster that goes up in pictograms. So if they don't understand English or they can't read, they can see the pictures. And then restrict your vendors. Make sure you have vendors who know the rules, who come in, sign in, wear a mask, stay 6 feet apart, and answer all the questions that we'll go through later. But for instance, we actually already went through them. Have you been near anybody? Have you been in China? Have you traveled outside the United States? All those questions, make sure you ask them first. And I would say we should take temperatures. No contact temperatures is a really good way of checking people out. And again, make sure they know to practice social distancing. Have hand sanitizers throughout the plant. Every entrance to a door, every desk could have a hand sanitizer. Make sure they know about cough etiquette. Make sure that you're, again, taking temperatures. Offer face masks to anybody who wants one. And then regularly, on a daily basis, have an enhanced sanitizing, cleaning for your plant. And if you get a COVID person, someone diagnosed with it who's been in the workplace, you may want to bring in a company to sanitize the whole plant. Now, to complete this training, you need to go to part 2 and complete it as soon as possible. So we'll be back. We'll see you in a few minutes, hopefully. Thank you much.